hug is a simple yet powerful way to connect with others. When I think of a hug, I think of compassion. I think of vulnerability. I think of a feeling of secureness. Strangely enough, the most memorable hug for me was the complete opposite. That hug left me feeling confused, depressed, and insignificant. A couple years back, I worked at this sports performance facility out in Westchester, New York. And during one of my breaks, the director's daughter came over and asked me to play. When you look at kids, you can't help but feel inspired. Kids dream big, they're fearless, and they bounce back easily from failures. All things that we aspire to do as adults. Kids are the future. On this particular day, she brought a friend. So this friend was short, like most other 8-year-olds are. She had jet black hair, pale skin, and a look of toughness in her eyes. Immediately upon seeing me, she ran into a corner. I chalked this up to regular shyness, and with the help of the director's daughter, I was able to coax her out, and the three of us had a blast. I'm talking, we jumped rope, we played tag is the truth. We threw footballs, and eventually I had to return back to work and train a client. She ran up to me, beaming, my new friend. She looked me in the eyes, she gave me a big hug, she held me so tightly, and she said to me, "My dad's a liar. Not all black people are bad." She ran off. I stood frozen. Love is the natural state that we strive for. Another powerful emotion that attempts to block out love is hate. The Southern Poverty Law Center identified 954 hate groups that exist right here in the United States in 2017. And this number had risen 20% from 2014. If our natural state is love, then why do we hate? While this is a very complex question, I think the root lies in two distinct points. Number one, fear of the unknown. All right, we are evolutionarily hardwired to, kind of be aggressive or fight back against things that we believe are not in our best interest. So thousands of years ago, you sat with a bunch of your homies in loincloths, beatboxing on rocks, trying to make a fire. You looked up and you saw an opposite tribe coming towards you. So you had two options. You could either wait it out and see if they were just trying to stop by and share a glass of tea, or you could go on the offensive and ensure your survival. So this us versus them mindset is what's at the base of our competitive society. Why we hate? Well, that's our hardware. Who we hate, that's the software, and that's told to us by the culture. Society dictates who we hate. Another reason why we hate is fear of ourselves. Psychology refers to this term as projection. So a lot of times we like to think of ourselves as this perfect being. So all the pain, trauma, and unaddressed issues, we usually leave them pent up inside of ourselves, and we isolate these issues into other people that we are, more than willing to wage war with. Because it's much easier to look at somebody else and call them out as opposed to looking in the mirror. On the flip side of this, our potential to hate is there, but we also have the potential and benefit tremendously from social creatures. Being alone will literally kill you. A social review study found that loneliness, social isolation, and living alone were determining factors in explaining premature death, particularly among individuals below the age of 65. Connection, on the other hand, does the complete opposite thing. A friendly touch results in a decrease in cortisol, a hormone related to stress levels, and an uptick in oxytocin, a feel-good hormone that is associated with trust, bonding, and connection. Multiple studies just show that we benefit from being among other people. A hug a day keeps the doctor away? Man, I don't like the ring to that one. But one study shows that huggers, or people who identify themselves as frequent huggers, experience an immune system boosting response that left them more resistant to colds than their non-touchy counterparts. Another study showed that players who hugged and high-fived more during games actually played better. And finally, this benefit was not even just specific to touch. One study showed that when young girls were exposed to a stressful experience, just simply hearing their mother's voice over the phone allowed them to drop their cortisol levels and increase their feel-good hormones. Why is this? Why is connection so important? In our distant past, people who cooperated and came together were much more likely to survive than those who didn't. We share a common existence, and our society depends on stable interpersonal relationships. While it takes a lot of courage, the same software that has been coded can be decoded. 3 ways that we can step out from the bunker of our egos and connect deeper with those around us. Number 1, show up for collective moments of joy and pain. While we are capable of so much destruction and violence as human beings, on the flip side of the same coin, we are capable of such deep empathy and compassion for one another. I remember going to my first Daybreaker event. If you don't know what Daybreaker is, it's a morning dance party that is drug and alcohol free that just allows people from all different backgrounds, ages, and races, denominations to come together and just let loose and dance judgment free. This particular event was on a boat and it was during Pride Week. And I remember when Andra Day's song Rise came on. And now rise up. Definitely don't sound as good as she does. But the whole concept and idea that, we're fighting the struggle for everyone to have the same equal rights and treatment was bonding. It was a bonding experience. People were crying and hugging each other and just supporting each other physically, mentally, and spiritually. I also remember during 9/11, when that happened, the whole country was behind New York. And it just didn't matter where you were from, you just sympathized with this situation. Number 2, get around other people who do not look like you and learn their stories. I think it's so common in this divisive age that we're in to just stick on the same side of the fence as people who share the same ideologies as you and just cheer them on. But it's really important to just have the courage to climb up to that fence, peek over, and engage people from the opposite side. Don't demonize them, just sit back and talk. Empathy is not endorsement. You may find that there's a lot more commonalities than you originally expected. Use to normalize hate. Call it out in others, and most importantly, call it out in yourself. It's very important to speak and do things in ways that affirm both yourselves and others. We could all be on this equal playing field, and it doesn't have to be this us versus them mindset. When you see somebody in need, come to their aid. Be an ally. Allow them to know that they are not alone and that you see them. The little girl from the beginning, I never saw her again, but I'm pretty sure that I may have altered the trajectory of her life story. I sat her aside and basically told her that good and bad people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and that she was brave for embracing the unknown and coming to play with me. Her dad called the next day, livid, saying that she would never be allowed to come to the facility again. Upon hearing that, I sat with so much hate and wondered how someone could try and corrupt something so innocent. But upon simple review, it's easy to see that our history is based upon that. Leo Tolstoy said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves." If we want to create a country, if we want to create a world that is prosperous for everyone who inhabits it, I think we need to start by looking ourselves in the mirror and making a change there first.